Hey, it's Jen with another Tech Tips 411 video. Today I'm going to talk to you about three of my favorite Google apps. I often get asked, should I use Google Slides, Drawings, or Google Jamboard? And today we're going to talk about use cases for each of those three tools and why you would choose one over the other. I love them all, but they have different purposes and different benefits. Today, that's what we're going to talk about. So let's get started. So let's first talk about Google Slides. I consider Google Slides the Swiss Army knife of Google tools. I use it for so many different things, for me to create content for students and for students to create content as well. Let's highlight some of the reasons why you might choose to use Google Slides for your activity. Here I am in a Google slide deck and I've got multiple pages. So that's one thing that Google Slides has going for it, is the fact that you can have multiple pages and you can have your students collaborate in one document and each of them claim a slide that they're going to work on. You can go in and change the page setup so that it is landscape or portrait or any size that you want it to be. So that's another plus, that you can change the canvas size. I can go in here and insert images by searching the web, uploading from my computer, pulling from Drive, photos by URL, or even using my camera to take a picture. Now, that feature is also available in the other Google tools as well. I can add in a text box, which means I can type text, I can move it around. Here's where Google Slides, being the Swiss Army knife that it is, I can add in audio, so I can record audio and add it into a presentation. Or if you want your students to create a presentation, they can add in audio explaining their thinking. You can add in videos, you can add a table, chart, diagram. You can also add in word art, which really allows you to be creative with your design. You can add in lines. And if you're using a mobile device, because there is both the desktop version of Slides and a mobile app, you can use the line tool and actually use a touch device to draw. The other reason you might want to use Google Slides is because of the comment feature. Great way for you to provide feedback to your students and your students to be able to provide feedback as well. You can also go to the version history and see who is engaged in the document. So it's a great way to see who's participating, and if any changes were made, that you can verify who made those changes. You can upload any image you want as your background so students don't move things. But the other great thing about Slides is the fact that you can choose themes to jazz up your designs. You can import themes from sites like Slidesmania, which is really cool. One of my other favorite reasons I love using Google Slides is, yes, there's multiple pages and you can scroll through here and check what your students are doing. If I go down here to this grid view option, I can actually now see multiple slides being engaged in simultaneously. This is a great way for you to monitor your students that are working on this task. So let's take a look at Google Drawings. Now, I love Google Drawings and use Google Drawings all the time. It's what I use to create my template and my weekly Tech Tips 411 newsletter, because of the flexibility of creating the canvas as small or as large as I want it to be. So as you'll notice, it's only one page. So that is the benefit if you only want to have one page for students to focus on and they're working collaboratively together in that one page. Or if they're working individually and you just want them to have that one canvas to look at. You can use the extra space here to have a drag and drop activity. So you can add in student names, facts, numbers, or manipulatives such as pennies or other items that you want students to drag around and move them onto the canvas, which is really cool. So it's a great way to engage students in a space. Now, I still have the same options here. I can view that file history. I can download this as a PDF, as a JPEG, as a PNG, or a scale vector graphic. So depending on what you want the design to be or the output of the product. I can insert images. I can insert from the web as well as uploading or from a URL. But it doesn't natively allow you to add in audio or add in video. So let's take a look at our last tool, which is Jamboard. And if you're not familiar with Jamboard, Jamboard is a very simple, easy to use whiteboard tool. It's built for collaboration and it allows you to use a very simplified toolbar to engage your students in a collaborative task. If you're not familiar with Jamboard, I do have a how to use Jamboard deeper dive and I'm going to link it and you can check it out right there. It is a whiteboard interactive tool. I can set the background. I've got a few options. They've just added the ability to add in a custom background, which locks it down. Clear your frame very easily. You've got a pen tool for you to annotate. There is a mobile app, which is actually a great way to engage your learners that have touch devices, because then they can very easily annotate. It's much easier to annotate in Jamboard on an image than it is in slides or drawings, because it's got that pen tool and it's intuitive. I've got an eraser, I've got a selector. This right here is what is a great way to engage your diverse learners, is using sticky notes. Click on the sticky note. I can easily add in a sticky note, and I can use it as a stoplight activity because I've got a handful of colors I can choose from. I can resize it. I can also duplicate it if I want. So this is a great way to engage students by adding sticky notes as a quick entrance or exit ticket. I can add in all of those images just like you can in slides and drawings, so that's great. They have a handful of shapes that have been added recently, but not nearly as many shapes. But then again, if the goal is just to add a couple of elements and respond to a particular task, you don't need to have too many tools for students to choose from. So I notice I could add in that circle. I've got a couple of options. I can customize it just a little bit, but I can create a Venn diagram. I can do a comparison activity. In addition to that, I can add in text. I can resize the text. I have a couple of options here, and I have a handful of colors here. Notice it's not a lot of options, but it'll work for a collaborative activity. In slides, you can have multiple slide pages. In drawings, remember, it's just one canvas that either students are working on independently or they're working in a collaborative task. Here you have the ability to add up to 20 frames. That's what they call a page. So I can add multiple pages here, and you can see those pages, and I can even rearrange them if I'd like. Max of 20 pages. The other thing is that there is a max number of people that can participate in a Jamboard, and that is 50. So keep that in mind. This is something that you're not going to have 100 students engaged in at once. You can make copies of it. In addition to that, you can export it, download it as a PDF, or save a frame as an image. One of the things I like to do is actually design it the way I want it to look, and then I will download it as an image and then upload that as the background for any elements that I do not want students to move. There is the ability to share it just like you want to share any other document inside of Google Classroom, or you can copy the link and give viewing or editing rights. Here's a visual I created that shows you the similarities as well as the differences between Google Slides, Google Drawings, and Google Jamboard. Hopefully this will provide a little bit of clarity on which tool you're going to want to use and when. I'll put a link in the description to this graphic organizer because it might help decide which tool to use and when. So there you go. That was my comparison of slides, drawings, and Jamboard. Hopefully you got some ideas and use cases, and maybe a little bit better understanding of when you might want to use each of those applications to engage your diverse learners. I have some other videos you might want to check out. I have 10 ideas for using slides, 10 ideas for using drawings, and 10 ideas for using Jamboard. So I'm going to put the link in the description for you to check out those videos. If you found this video beneficial, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for watching.